And so it's been such a blessing, such an incredible blessing. I've praised Rhonda for her spirit. There's no other tour guide in the world that does what she does. There's companies that have a business. We just went, I was telling you guys all, we went and just explored Eastern Turkey because, the Noah's Ark thing, it's been in the news. We go, and then Rhonda was just here with another tour. She has a few days. She goes, I'm going to go explore the potential site out there of Tower of Babel. Like, there's no other tour company that does that who's like really passionate. So back in 2018, on the shoulders of men like Ron Wyatt and Bob Cornuke and different folks that had gone there, Jim and Penny Caldwell, I was incredibly blessed to slip into Saudi Arabia before tourism was even a thing. And I did all the research, and I come away convinced, like, this is really Mount Sinai. Like, I'm blown away. And then I was like, Rhonda, we really need to do this. And she starts working it. And she reached out to probably every tour company that exists in Saudi Arabia. And here's the thing, she got us visas before the tourism program was even opened. And then as we're looking forward to the first tour, Saudi Arabia announced they're going to open the tourism thing. And literally our tour was going in about 10 days after the Saudi Arabian tourism thing was opening for the first time in history. And then we quickly last minute switched, and we were the first official tour on the tourism program in the history of the kingdom. 25 Christians went in, and it's just been such a ridiculous blessing over the past 8 years to bring, I think, a dozen groups or something to see the foundation. When you listen to secular archaeologists or just biblical archaeologists, they go, we have all this evidence that the Bible is true back up until the time of David. They go, but the Exodus never happened. We don't have any evidence. And the reason is because they're looking in the wrong place. Yeah. And then we're incredibly blessed. We go, here it is. Like, it's right in front of you. All the evidence there. You're like, this is the mountain that the first century Jews said was the real Mount Sinai. Oh, look, here's carvings of cows. Oh, look, here's carvings of people being stabbed through for worshiping the cows. Oh, look, here's all these petroglyphs. Like, evidence is everywhere. And you just go like, duh. And so we've brought people, and they're like, we're not really interested in Mount Sinai. We just want to get into Saudi Arabia. And then they get there, and they're like, this is really Mount Sinai. We're like, told you. And they're like, no, it's really Mount Sinai. And we're like, that's what we've been saying. So I just love the blessing, the opportunity to go to the beginning, to come to the end, again, just to meditate upon the story that God has been telling from the beginning, that it's not just a story, it's rooted in real history, real events, and me personally coming to the cave 2,000 years ago, a guy named John. Jesus told him, he goes like, he kind of implies, and they go, well, is he going to live forever? He was implying that he knew that John was going to live long, because he knew that far after all the events and the dust had settled, that he would give John the capstone of the book. And so I just love to...
Is that what that reference at the end of John is too, that he's going to get the revelation?
Well, that he's going to live super long. Okay. And again, he's in his 80s when he gets this here. And then he goes to Ephesus and finishes his life. But it's just because God tells this in the form of a story, I like to try to convey it in the sense of a story, so that one, we know the story. When we know the big story, it actually inoculates us from a lot of when people they lose the forest for the trees, that's how they get into heresy. They get focused on some little obscure topic, and when you lose the big story, you can easily fall into false doctrine. I think it's important to know the big story, because that God is telling it in the form of story on purpose. The story of redemption, how he is restoring Eden, how he's going to fix this mess. But also not just to know it as a story, like we read a story, but to see it as a story that we're part of, that we are active participants in the story, that we actually can affect the story, we can have a role in the story. And when we see ourselves as part of a living, ongoing story, it affects how we live, and we go, okay, how I live matters, and this type of thing. So anyway, it's an incredible blessing to be here. It's an incredible blessing to be with you all. Thank you for coming.